Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking you on a pretty incredible journey.
Yeah, we got some fascinating sources that connect the really, really ancient world with, well, our lives right now.
Exactly. Our mission is to pull out the key insights, connect some, surprising dots, and give you those aha moments.
So you feel genuinely clued in, but without getting totally bogged down in detail.
We'll start deep in India's ancient past, looking at early humans, the lower Paleolithic period.
And then we'll switch gears a bit, but keep that human story going to explore epidemiology.
You know, how diseases spread, how they affect us, from way back then right up to today.
Get ready for some amazing stories, accidental discoveries, how a simple drink can change a whole culture's health.
It's not just about listing facts, though, right?
Not at all. It's about understanding why things happened and, importantly, what they mean for us.
So think critically along with us. Ask questions.
We'll be looking at how geography shaped tools, how culture impacts disease, even what ancient genes might tell us about our own habits today.
Okay, let's get into it. India's deep past. Our sources start with the lower Paleolithic culture. So, what exactly was this era?
Well, basically, it's the earliest time we have solid evidence of human activity. We're talking ancestors like Homo erectus, Homo habilis.
The ones making the very first stone tools.
That's right. Things like Oldowan and Acheulean technologies. Simple, but, revolutionary for their time.
And the story of how we first found this stuff in India, it's pretty wild, isn't it? Like stumbling across million-year-old history.
It really is. It's a story of pure accident. Picture it. 1857, just after the War of Independence. The British Geological Survey is mapping Madras.
Okay.
And this young geologist, Robert Bruce Foote, only 24, sort of reluctantly joins the team.
Reluctantly, wow.
Yeah, and the sources add a nice personal touch. He meets and marries Elizabeth N., calls her his lucky charm.
Oh, did she bring him luck?
Seems like it. Just a few years later, May 1863, purely by chance, he finds this perfectly formed stone hand axe at Pallavaram.
Just lying there.
Yeah.
After maybe a million years.
Pretty much. It was a massive discovery, globally significant, one of the very first of its kind found anywhere.
That must have blown his mind.
Absolutely. And get this, he was so worried someone else would steal the credit, he secretly sent it off to England for verification before telling anyone in India.
No way. Resourceful.
Then, just a few months later, September 1863, he and a friend find one of the largest lower Paleolithic sites in India at Atirampakkam.
So these two finds basically put Indian prehistory on the map.
Exactly. Earned him the title Father of Prehistory in India. He went on to find hundreds more sites across different periods.
An incredible legacy.
Yeah.
But there's that twist at the end, right, about his collection.
Right. Despite saying artifacts should stay in India, he sold his personal collection stuff he hadn't officially submitted to the Museum of Madras.
For how much again?
For ours, 33,000 back then. Today, that's like over 100 crore rupees. It's a fascinating reminder of, the human side of science.
Yeah, personal motivations mixing with big discoveries. It also sets up how we study these cultures, right? Tools, location.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at their distribution, environment, materials, technology, specific sites, even early hints of art.
So where did these early humans live across India? Was it everywhere?
Almost everywhere, which shows incredible adaptability. We find evidence widely across India, except really in Kerala and some bits of Tamil Nadu.
Okay, and there were different zones.
Yeah, two main ones. The south, or peninsular zone settlements, near rivers, in caves, rock shelters.
And the north?
That's the extra-peninsular zone. Found more in plains and river basins, Punjab, Haryana, Kashmir, Assam.
And within those distinct cultural areas like Son, Narmada, Madrasian, what does this variety tell us about them?
It tells us they were incredibly resilient. The north had glacial ice age conditions we know from pollen and animal bones.
In the south.
Very wet, pluvial climate, intense rain, but both areas were rich in plants and animals. We find things like carbonized wood, bones of wild ox, elephants, horses.
Interesting. Why so many digs in Maharashtra then?
Well, it's partly practical. Deccan College Pune is a major center for archaeology there, and frankly, lower population density makes it easier to find and excavate sites compared to the really crowded northern plains.
Makes sense. So how old are we talking? And does it suggest how they moved?
The ages vary. Northern sites are generally older than southern ones.
Oh, so that suggests migration.
Exactly. The thinking is they likely came from Africa, maybe through Europe, into Western India, overland, and then spread south. less evidence for a sea route.
And the oldest sites.
One of the oldest Acheulean sites we know of is Isimpur in Karnataka, dates back about 1.2 million years. Overall, we're looking at a span from maybe 1.5 million years ago down to about 100,000 years ago.
Okay, so they're moving, adapting. How did their tools change? What were the big leaps?
Tool technology definitely evolved. Quartzite pebbles were common everywhere, but they used volcanic rock in the south too. A huge advance, especially later on, was the Levallois technique.
Levallois. Sounds fancy. Why was that such a big deal? How does he show more intelligence?
It really does. Instead of just hacking away at a rock, they'd carefully prepare the edges of a coarse stone first.
Okay, like setting it up.
Exactly. Then they'd strike the center in a specific way to knock off a flake of a predetermined shape, often sort of tortoise-shaped.
Ah, so they knew what they wanted before they struck.
Precisely. It allowed for much more predictable, refined, sharper tools. It shows real foresight, planning, multiple steps. That's a cognitive leap.
Wow. And in the South.
We see lots of those Acheulean hand axes and cleavers, but crucially, we also find evidence of hafting.
Hafting. Attaching handles.
Yes, putting stone tools onto wooden handles or sticks. We see wear marks that suggest this.
So making spears or axes, not just holding a sharp rock. Why was that such a game changer?
Oh, it was revolutionary. Think about it. More precision, much more force, better reach for throwing or thrusting.
Hunting must have become way more effective.
Totally. Hunting, butchering, everything. It really transformed their ability to get food and resources.
So beyond tools for survival, what about their daily life?
Yeah.
What did they eat? Where did they settle? Did they have art?
They were definitely skilled hunters. We find bones of big game elephants, wild horses, auks.
Okay.
Settlement theories vary. Some think they stuck near rock formations for water and materials. Others suggest they avoided really dense forests, maybe out of fear.
And the art part.
Yeah.
Are things not strictly for survival?
Yeah, this is fascinating. We find things called kukuls, these cup-like dents hammered into big rocks, especially at Bimbetka.
What were they for?
We honestly don't know. Leisure,
Mm-hmm.
signals, some kind of ritual. It's a mystery.
Anything else?
Yes. Some hand axes are incredibly well made, perfectly symmetrical, but show no signs of ever being used.
Like collector's items.
Kind of. One provocative idea is maybe they were made to impress potential mates, like showing off skill and status, not just for cutting things.
Ah, okay. A bit speculative, but interesting.
And then there's the use of red ochre, like in Karnataka. Was it for rituals, body paint, or did they just like the color?
So these things hint at a life beyond just getting food and staying safe. Maybe early expression?
Exactly. Do these represent the first glimmers of art? Or just humans finding ways to express themselves when basic needs were met? What do you think?
It's mind-boggling to think about. But figuring all this out isn't easy for archaeologists, is it? You mentioned challenges.
Oh, definitely not easy. There are what archaeologists call typo-technological problems in India, partly because the local rock type available influenced how tools looked.
Okay, so tools look different just because the stone was different.
That's part of it. Another big issue is the lack of a clear sequence. You don't always find simple tools in lower layers and complex ones higher up. Sometimes they're all mixed together.
And preservation?
Often poor preservation. Sites get damaged, eroded. Remember the story of Harappa, where people literally stole ancient bricks to build houses? That kind of thing destroys context.
Unbelievable. So frustrating for researchers. How do they deal with finding tools from different periods mixed together?
That's the mixed assemblages problem. It suggests that maybe newer technologies didn't always completely replace older ones immediately. People might have kept using older styles alongside innovations.
So not neat stages, but more like overlapping phases.
Possibly. It makes drawing clear lines between cultural periods really difficult. Plus, even within one type, like Acheulean hand axes, there's huge variation across India. Size, shape, material makes consistent classification tough.
Right, so it's a constant puzzle, always revising the picture based on new finds.
Exactly. Science in action.
Okay, let's jump forward a bit to another famous group, the Neanderthals. Why are they still so relevant, even popping up in news headlines?
Neanderthals are fascinating. They're crucial for understanding our own evolution, and yeah, they keep making news. You see headlines like, "Are you an early bird? Blame your Neanderthal genes."
Huh, I've seen those.
Or more seriously, studies suggesting links between certain Neanderthal genes inherited by Europeans and vulnerability to diseases like COVID-19. About 6% of the European genome has Neanderthal origins.
Wow, so they're literally part of us. Tell us about their discovery.
The first fossil find was actually in Gibraltar back in 1848, but they weren't formally recognized until a more complete skeleton turned up in Germany's Neander Valley in 1856. Hence the name Homo neanderthalensis.
And genetically, they were super close to us.
Incredibly close. Only about a 0.1% difference from modern humans. But here's a real surprise. Their average brain size was bigger than ours.
Bigger brains. 1,500, 1,600 cc compared to our 1,350, 1,400. Does that mean they were smarter?
The big question. Absolute size isn't the whole story. Brain-to-body size ratio matters, too. And smarter. Well, they survived for hundreds of thousands of years in tough environments.
Right, so if they were so successful, why aren't they around anymore?
That's one of the great mysteries still debated by scientists. Climate change, competition with us, maybe assimilation, likely a mix of factors.
And they lived. When and where?
Roughly between 400,000 and maybe 30,000 or 40,000 years ago. And interestingly, exclusively in Europe and the Middle East, the Eurasian region, no Neanderthal evidence found in Africa.
Okay, let's look at specific finds. What do they tell us about Neanderthal society?
Some finds are really telling. In France, at La Chapelle-Saint, they found an older Neanderthal man, maybe 40, who clearly had arthritis, hip, and disc disease.
Ouch. Must have been hard for him.
Definitely. But he lived to a decent age for that time, and crucially, he was deliberately buried.
Deliberately buried. What does that suggest?
It suggests compassion, social care. The group must have looked after him. A diseased individual surviving that long points to strong social bonds, and the burial itself implies some level of ritual or respect.
Wow. But not all finds are so heartwarming. You mentioned cannibalism.
Right. At El Cedrón in Spain, they found 12 skeletons, adults, children, and infant. Their bones were fragmented in a way that strongly suggests cannibalism.
Grim. Did they learn anything else from that site?
Yes, genetics told a story. The adult males were related to each other, but the adult females weren't. This hints at a patrilocal social structure. Females likely moved to join the male's family group upon reaching maturity.
Fascinating social insights. What about Neanderthals in Asia? Any key differences?
Initially, they were sometimes called progressive Neanderthals, thought to be closer to modern humans, while European ones were classical or more primitive. But we now know that's not really valid.
Okay, we'll come back to why. But what did they find in Asia? You mentioned speech.
Ah, yes. A huge discovery, especially from sites in Israel like Tabun and Mount Carmel, was the hyoid bone.
A hyoid. That's the little bone in the throat.
Exactly. It's crucial for the mechanics of human speech. Finding a Neanderthal hyoid bone that looks like ours is strong evidence they had the anatomical capacity for complex spoken language.
So they could likely talk like us.
And the anatomy suggests yes. And at Shanidar Cave in Iraq, more evidence of care and ritual. 9 individuals found, 4 deliberately buried, again with tools, even flower pollen.
Flower pollen. Suggests intention, maybe ceremony.
It certainly suggests more than just dumping a body. One Shanidar individual was seriously handicapped diseased femur but lived to 40 or 45. More evidence of social support.
Incredible. So how did they look different from us? Especially adapting to cold Europe.
European Neanderthals had classic cold adaptations. Their large brains, while big, bulged more sideways, giving a broad head, sloping forehead, and that occipital bun at the back.
Why the big brain then? Just for cold.
That's one theory, boosting metabolism for body heat. Remember, it's also about brain-to-body ratio for intelligence.
Got it. And their bodies.
Short, stocky, heavy build, high volume to surface area ratio, and shorter lower arms and legs. All classic adaptations to minimize heat loss. Think Bergman's and Allen's rules from biology.
Right, less surface area exposed.
Exactly. Asian Neanderthals in warmer areas tended to have longer limbs. Europeans also had this unique bony projection inside the nose.
To warm the air.
That's the idea. Increase surface area to warm frigid air before it hit the lungs. Their larynx, or voice box, was also positioned slightly higher, possibly another cold adaptation.
Oh, very well adapted. Now, back to that classical versus progressive idea. Why is that not valid anymore?
Well, it was based on early, limited fossil finds. European ones looked a bit more robust, maybe more like Homo erectus, while some Asian ones seemed a bit more gracile or slender, closer to us.
But new evidence changed that.
Completely. Firstly, genetic evidence. Sequencing Neanderthal genomes showed no significant genetic difference between European and Asian populations. They were one interbreeding group.
So genes flowed between them.
Extensively. There was lots of intermingling, preventing them from diverging into separate types. And as more fossils were found, it became clear the early finds were just extremes of natural variation within a single diverse species. Just like modern humans look different around the world.
So more data revealed the spectrum, not two distinct types. That really shows how science evolves.
It absolutely does. New technology, more discoveries, they constantly refine our understanding.
So what about their culture? Tools, beliefs?
Their culture belongs to the Middle Paleolithic. Their signature tool technology is called Mousterian. It focused on making sophisticated flake tools, often using that advanced Levallois technique.
Sharper, more specialized tools than earlier periods.
Definitely. Lighter, sharper points, knives. They were still hafting tools, too. And significantly, they made the first bone tools, modifying animal bones into things like spear points, maybe even harpoons for fishing.
Harpoons. So they fished.
Evidence suggests they uniquely exploited marine resources, hunting seals, eating shellfish, alongside traditional big game hunting.
Wow, versatile. And beliefs. Burials, rituals.
We discussed the deliberate burials, sometimes with tools or flowers. Why? Belief in an afterlife. Or maybe just a practical custom for nomadic groups. We don't know for sure. We also have the evidence for cannibalism at El Sidrón.
And the bear cult.
Right. In some European caves, bear skulls and bones were found arranged in very specific, orderly ways. It led to the hypothesis of a bear cult, some kind of ritualistic focus on bears.
So complex behaviors, language likely, a rich culture.
It seems so. Definitely
Yeah.
far from the brutish caveman stereotype.
Okay, let's shift gears completely now to something super relevant today. Epidemiology, the study of disease in populations. What's the core concept?
At its heart, epidemiology looks at the determinants, the causes and risk factors, and the distribution, the patterns, frequency of diseases, and health conditions in specific populations.
Determinants, distribution, disease, the 3 Ds.
Exactly. And a key framework epidemiologists use is the epidemiological triad.
Triad, 3 parts.
Yep. The host, the person or animal susceptible, the agent, the thing causing the disease, and the environment, the external factors that influence exposure or susceptibility. Disease happens when these 3 interact.
Okay, let's break that down. Start with the agent. What causes disease?
Agents can be broadly categorized. For infectious diseases, the agents are microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites.
Where do they come from?
Their sources or reservoirs can be infected humans, sick people or carriers like with COVID or TB, animals causing zoonotic diseases, think bats and viruses, or chimps and HIV, or even non-living things like contaminated soil or water.
And they spread differently.
Right. Some multiply and spread very rapidly, causing quick symptoms. Others, like TB bacteria, can be slow, taking years to cause illness.
What about non-infectious diseases? What are the agents there?
Good question. The agents aren't microbes. They can be toxins, things like lead, mercury, or even harmful substances produced inside our own bodies, like excess uric acid. Or the agent could be radiation exposure, which can damage cells and DNA.
Got it. So agent is the what? What about the who, the host?
Mhm.
Why do some people get sick and others don't?
Host susceptibility varies a lot. Age is a big factor. Some diseases hit kids harder, others adults. Think COVID affecting older adults more severely initially, while polio targeted children.
Okay. What else?
Sex or gender can play a role. Females might be more vulnerable to certain infections like HPV. In COVID, males initially showed higher mortality, possibly linked to other health issues like heart disease or lifestyle factors like smoking.
And our genes.
Genetic predispositions are huge. Certain genes can offer resistance, like the CCR5 delta 32 mutation, giving some protection against HIV. Others increase vulnerability, like HLA genes linked to autoimmune diseases or certain cancers.
You mentioned one specific to India earlier.
Yes, the CHGA haplotype 2 gene. It's present in a significant portion of the Indian population, 35–40%, and it's linked to a higher risk of heart attacks, potentially occurring about 10 years earlier than average. It shows how our inherited biology matters.
Wow. Okay, so agent, host, now the environment. How do our surroundings affect disease?
The environment is everything external. First, the natural or physical environment. Climate matters hot, humid tropics are great for many microbes. Geography matters, marshy areas or stagnant water breed mosquitoes and waterborne diseases.
Right. What about the human environment? Social factors.
Absolutely critical. The sociocultural and economic environment. Think about family patterns. Living in crowded conditions can obviously increase transmission. Shared facilities, like unclean toilets, can spread infections.
And cultural practices.
Sometimes, yes. Shared bathing areas or even water bodies at religious sites, if not properly maintained and used by many people, can become breeding grounds. It's about the shared water and hygiene, not the faith itself, of course.
Understood. Occupation. Migration.
Occupation definitely influences exposure. Think farmers and animal diseases or healthcare workers. And migration and mobility are massive factors throughout history and today. People move, they carry microbes with them.
Like the example you gave of the Spanish bringing diseases to the Americas.
Exactly. The Aztec population collapse due to smallpox and measles is a stark example. They had zero prior exposure, zero immunity. The Spanish carried the diseases but were largely immune themselves. The impact was devastating.
Can you imagine how quickly a new virus could sweep through an unexposed population in our hyper-connected world today?
It's a constant concern. We saw a modern example with COVID-19 reaching isolated Andamanese tribes. They have very little immunity to outside diseases, so even one case is incredibly dangerous for the whole community. It highlights that risk hasn't gone away.
Chilling. Okay, let's make this more concrete with some case studies. How does this triad play out with HIV?
HIV is a prime example of how complex these interactions are. Globally, millions live with HIV. While it's caused by a virus, the agent, its spread is massively influenced by the host and environment, especially behavioral, cultural, and political factors.
Like what?
Gender inequality is a huge factor. A study you mentioned among the Juhuansi in South Africa found lower HIV rates where women had more power to insist on condom use. As traditional structures changed and male dominance increased, HIV rates rose. Women's lack of power makes them more vulnerable.
A direct link between social structure and disease spread. What about occupation?
Studies show links too, like dancers in the Philippines being less likely to use condoms with regular clients. In India, truck drivers are considered a major high-risk group.
Why truck drivers specifically?
Their lifestyle involves long periods away from home, often leading to paid, unprotected sex along major highways. The sources even mention specific communities where prostitution is generational, adding another layer of social complexity.
And drug use.
Right.
Especially in the U.S. context.
Yes, intravenous drug use and needle sharing significantly fueled the HIV epidemic in the U.S. Needles were expensive, restricted, which led to that really tough ethical debate.
Right, the question of providing free, clean needles. If you were advising the government back then, what would you have recommended? It's a real public health versus moral judgment clash.
It's incredibly difficult. The public health argument is strong. Providing clean needles demonstrably reduces HIV transmission, saving lives and healthcare costs. The counter-argument is that it might seem to enable or condone illegal drug use. Ultimately, policies often shifted towards harm reduction, prioritizing stopping the epidemic, even if it felt uncomfortable for some. There's rarely a perfect answer in these situations.
No easy choices. Let's touch on leprosy quickly. India's status is complicated.
It is. Officially, India has eradicated leprosy as a public health problem, meaning less than one case per 10,000 people. But because India's population is so huge, it still has the largest absolute number of leprosy patients in the world.
Where did it come from and how did it spread globally?
It originated on the Indian subcontinent way back in prehistory. It spread globally primarily along ancient trade routes. By 1200 AD, there were thousands of cases in Europe. Later, the slave trade also played a role in its transmission.
Okay, now shifting to non-infectious diseases. The sources paint a really worrying picture about heart disease deaths in India.
They really do. The numbers are stark. Heart-related deaths jumped massively, from about 15% of all deaths in 1990 to nearly 30% by 2016. Currently, it's estimated around 900 deaths every single day, and alarmingly, many are under 30.
What's driving this crisis? We mentioned the genetic factor.
Right. That CHGA haplotype 2 gene increases risk. But dietary factors are enormous. The average Indian diet, according to the sources, contains way too much salt, sugar, unhealthy fats, far exceeding recommended limits.
So what we eat is a major part of it. What else? Lifestyle, environment.
All of the above. Stress is rampant. One study cited found over 70% of Delhi youth are stressed. Chronic stress physically impacts the heart. It raises cortisol, makes the heart work harder. If arteries are already narrowed, that extra strain can trigger a heart attack. Even, believe it or not, extreme happiness or shock can sometimes trigger events in vulnerable individuals.
Wow. And smoking, alcohol,
Huge factors.
Small.
Sources mention around 25 crore Indians aged 16-44 are regular smokers. Lack of adequate sleep is another pervasive issue contributing to poor health.
And pollution. The Delhi air quality example was shocking.
It's a massive environmental factor. The air pollution levels described are astronomical, requiring special Indian-calibrated meters because standard ones went off the scale. Breathing that air constantly has serious cardiovascular impacts.
And it's not just air.
No, soil pollution too. Industrial waste, excessive fertilizers, especially in agricultural belts like Punjab, lead to heavy metals getting into the food chain. This has been linked to high cancer rates. The sources even mention a specific cancer train route used by patients seeking treatment.
This is incredibly sobering. It's genetics, diet, stress, pollution. A perfect storm. What everyday choices do you think people could focus on to make a difference, given this complex picture?
It feels overwhelming, but even small, consistent changes matter. Being mindful of salt, sugar, and fat intake. Finding healthy ways to manage stress, easier said than done, I know. Avoiding smoking, prioritizing sleep. And on a larger scale, advocating for cleaner air and environmental protection. It requires individual and collective action.
Definitely food for thought.
Yeah.
Let's talk specifically about nutritional diseases now.
Right. These arise from imbalances too little or too much of essential nutrients. We have macronutrients, fats, carbs, proteins, and micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals.
What happens with macronutrient imbalances?
Fat deficiency can lead to wasted growth in kids and trouble absorbing certain vitamins. Carb deficiency forces the body to burn fat and protein, which can lead to a state called ketosis, hence warnings about unsupervised keto diets.
And protein deficiency.
That causes protein energy malnutrition, or PEM. In children, often due to poverty or lack of access to food, it can manifest as kwashiorkor, enough calories but not enough protein, leading to that swollen belly and thin limbs look. Or marasmus deficiency of both calories and protein, resulting in severe wasting, that skin and bones appearance. Both make kids highly vulnerable to infections.
What about micronutrients?
Deficiencies there cause specific diseases most people have heard of. Vitamin A and night blindness, vitamin D and rickets, vitamin C and scurvy, iron and anemia, iodine and goiter, and so on. Each plays a vital role.
Now, how does culture get tangled up with nutrition? The Coca-Cola example in Mexico sounds wild.
It's an extreme but powerful example. Chiapas, Mexico, a town described as a hub of diabetes. Why? People there drink an average of 220 liters of Coke per person per year.
220 liters, that's insane.
It's deeply embedded. Shamans reportedly use Coke in healing rituals, even for diabetes. Offering a bottle versus just a glass is a status symbol. One powerful family controls the supply politically and economically. It shows how a product, through marketing and local dynamics, can become completely woven into the cultural fabric, overriding health concerns. What does that tell us about corporate influence and cultural choices?
It's deeply disturbing. Are there other examples where cultural beliefs directly impact nutrition?
Yes. The sources mention the Azawa Arabs in Niger, where female fatness is traditionally seen as beautiful. Girls are deliberately force-fed high-calorie foods to gain weight, leading to obvious long-term health risks.
Wow. Prioritizing cultural beauty standards over health.
And gender inequality appears again. A study found some cultures wean girls off breast milk much earlier than boys, believing milk makes girls masculine. This directly leads to higher malnutrition rates in girls.
That's heartbreaking, just based on a belief.
Then there's the issue of misinformation or misplaced trust, like mothers in Karnataka buying branded biscuits for lunch, thinking they were more nutritious than homemade food, leading to malnutrition until health workers intervened.
Which brings us to things like health drinks.
Exactly. The sources mention the controversy around popular drinks like Bornvita or Complan, exposed by some online commentators as being mostly sugar, despite being marketed as nutritious. It highlights how marketing narratives can powerfully shape our choices, often obscuring the actual nutritional content. How much do you trust food labels and health claims?
That's a question we should all ask ourselves more often. Wow, what a journey we've taken today, from ancient toolmakers to Neanderthal social lives, and then right into the thick of modern health crises through the lens of epidemiology.
It really covers a vast sweep of the human story. What's striking is just how interconnected everything is. Ancient tools, settlements, social groups. Those choices impacted survival then. And today, our lifestyles, our genes, our culture, our environment, they all intertwine to shape our health outcomes, sometimes in really surprising ways.
So, thinking back, what are the key takeaways for you, our listener? Let's do a quick recap for active recall.
Okay. For the Lower Paleolithic in India, Remember Robert Bruce Foote, the father of prehistory, and his accidental discoveries? Key technologies were the Levallois technique and hafting. And recall the challenges archaeologists face, the typotechnological problems.
For Neanderthals, think about their large brains, the evidence for social care and compassion, the hyoid bones suggesting speech capability. And remember why that old classical versus progressive division isn't valid anymore. They were one diverse, intermingling species.
And for epidemiology, visualize the epidemiological triad: host, agent, environment. Remember how crucial cultural factors are in disease spread, gender roles, occupation, mobility, as seen with HIV and leprosy? And reflect on the complex factors driving the health crisis in India: genetics, diet, stress, pollution.
Phew. It really shows that understanding humanity, past or present, isn't simple. It takes ongoing discovery, critical thinking.
Exactly. It pushes us to look beyond the surface and see the complex web of biology, culture, and environment that shapes who we are and how we live and how we get sick.
So for you listening, maybe the next time you see a headline about human origins or a public health report, you'll think a little more deeply about the underlying factors.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, reconsider that extra sugar or look more closely at what's really in that health drink.
It's about being informed and curious.
Thank